When is the hardest or most difficult time to buy a home in Metro Denver? The answer is probably going to surprise you, and I sort of think of this, as quote, maybe even the worst time of the year to buy. It's still always good to buy real estate in Denver, but this is definitely the hardest time of the year, and that's the springtime, the first half of the year. And so what happens is there's this huge herd of buyers. Everyone wants to buy a home in the first 6 months of the year. So when you have a lot more demand, that means it's a lot more difficult for many people to get under contract. And many of you got outbid multiple times this year on homes and you maybe gave up. Did that happen to you? And it's because right now is the hardest time of the year, to buy a home is in the first half of the year. And I'm going to refer back to a chart from First Alliance Title again, showing the number of average showings per home. And it goes back to 17, 18, 19, 20, and then 2021. And if you look at it, every year, 17, number of showings peaked in April. 18, number of showings peaked in March, but were very constant January through March. 19 peaked again in March. 20 last year, showings were up high as well. In the first 4 months of the year, every year are always the hardest time to buy in Denver. And you look like here this year, where, like I said earlier, the number of showings this year doubled in the first 4 months of this year compared to the 4 previous years. So that makes it right now in that springtime the most difficult or the hardest time to buy a home. So as you look at this chart, do you happen to see a pattern? I sure do. The highest amount of buyers out there is always January through April of every year. And so that makes it more difficult for you to buy a home. And so, so if you're especially a buyer with a smaller down payment or need down payment assistance, it can be much more difficult, much harder to get under contract in January through April and even into May. And so you want to try to buy in a different time of year because there's so much demand in the first half of the year. And if you like, what you're seeing and hearing, please subscribe, please like my page, please post your comments, questions. I'd be happy and honored to receive your questions and to help you. And so finally, I just want to end with this. If you're a renter right now, so often I hear people, they re-sign a 1-year lease and their leases always go March to March or April to April. Don't do that. Do a month-to-month lease instead, because if you repeat and your lease ends in March of next year, guess what's going to happen? Same damn thing. You're not going to get under contract next March either, because it's the hardest time of the year to buy a home. You want to buy July through December. So have that your lease goes month to month or ends here in the summer or early fall. That's the time of year you want to buy.